And so it's going to be an actual set.
I love those
Nice.
the fan made Lego stuff. Like I think that's the smartest thing they've ever done of getting a way for people to submit and for the community to approve that stuff. Like I think
Like,
that's
it's such a
incredibly
good
smart.
idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ironic because it's ideas.lego.com is,
Right.
the actual site for it. But
The Nightmare for Christmas one that I haven't built yet. That's one of those ideas ones. Which
it
is
would not surprise me for half a second if the Fast and Furious ones were fan submitted.
that's almost guaranteed.
But there's a Subnautica one in here.
Oh. Interesting.
The Black Pearl is in here. It's a Mr. Bean one that looks cute as fuck.
Oh, Mr. Bean.
Someone made a Jumanji one, which is a foldable board game.
Oh, that's pretty clever.
That's pretty sweet.
Now I gotta
All
write
right,
down
yeah,
Lego
we can get started
ideas.
because now I'm just searching Etsy and shit to see.
That's the
random shit.
real internet rabbit hole of like, I wonder if
I
anyone
already
makes
found-
this thing.
I already found a stupid fucking mirror frame to convert your mirror into a Stargate, and it's got like the full fucking chevrons and shit.
Yep, for the dial. It's like, oh
That's
no.
great.
So, before we get going, I do want to do a quick shout out for Etsy. So, I'm a firm believer in. I hate holidays with a fucking passion. I hate birthdays. I hate holidays. I hate them all. But if you
Yeah.
celebrate them, I will do my best to try and do something for you on your days. Boston can attest. I have sent his younger one a plushed animal before because she was in a phase of going through a particular animal. So I sent a plush animal for Boston's kid. And I tend not to get my gifts from mainstream outlets, so I don't really use Amazon. I don't use fucking any of that shit. My primary source of buying gifts is things like Etsy, where it's like unique things that you can do.
Right.
A friend of mine celebrated their wedding anniversary recently, and one of the couple is a hardcore Star Wars nerd, and the other is a hardcore Star Trek nerd. And part of their wedding invitation design, they have the Enterprise and the Millennium Falcon flying around each other in like a yin yang shape.
Oh, that's fun.
So I found on Etsy pins of the Falcon and the Enterprise flying in a heart shape. So I got them that for like their wedding anniversary kind of thing. But I tend to do all of my shit through Etsy. The problem is I'll do like a search and then I'll save the search for like future references and like save items to people's gift lists ideas for the future kind of thing. The problem is that it's so fucked up that one of the recommended categories for me on Etsy now, actually, I want to see if I can pull this up to show you guys that I'm not bullshitting you.
I mean, I believe you.
I just literally get like everything from there essentially. So it's like, here's a bunch of gifts, here's a bunch of gifts. Here is something, because it's very fan based, you know what I mean? But no, apparently it's not giving me the recommendation page for me. Maybe it is. Yeah, it's not there anymore. But it comes up with like recommendations for you, and the recommendation category it had for me was Goblin Core.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "What the fuck?" Goblin Core is the definition of the category of my recommendations in fucking Etsy. Are you goddamn serious right now?
When I think of Goblin Core, I think of Moon.
I mean, if you could see the state of my basement, you would be 100% correct.
There you go.
In that, but I was just like, you're seriously, you're fucking, because it came up with like categories like this type of category, that type of category, sci-fi categories, but like the primary one was fucking Goblin Core, and I was just like,
Goblin Core
fuck you.
Looks like a bunch of denim and just like earth tone colored shit.
Goblin
It's that, but it's on.
Yeah.
There is a bunch of specific animals in there, a bunch of specific
I see like
themes and
frogs and
stuff like that
mushrooms
as
and
well.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Goblin Core is your...
Love it.
And here is my question.
Hey, don't eat the plant.
Because
Stop.
I don't do last minute shopping. I think I might be set for Christmas this year.
Nice.
I'm watching you, you muscle cat. Yes.
So, but the problem I've got is all of these buyers on Etsy or all of these sellers on Etsy are like, yo, dude, we could really do with a review, you know, give us a little smile and nod, like let us know if you liked our shit kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I don't know. It's not for me. It's for somebody else.
It arrived and it was there. Hooray.
I can't recommend fucking anything in particular because I can't say 5 stars because I don't know how they're gonna react. It's not for me.
Fuck how they're gonna react. Just pop the box open, take a look at it, and be like, "Yeah, it looks cool."
I did favorite this one for me.
What does it say?
It says exterminate hate.
That's great. Torek in chat says, my question now is Gnome Core a thing? Because that might be me. I think if you have uttered the term...
I'd core to anything.
Yeah, like if you've uttered the term into the universe, there is a community for you out there.
Yes.
Hey,
Rule 34.
But that's...
I mean,
no.
yeah, that's
a
slightly
separate...
different voice right there for
That's
you.
a different show. Come on, get out of here. Come on. I love you, but
Yeah,
you need to go.
okay. Yeah, so it's supposed to be an aesthetic and subculture
Thanks, buddy.
inspired by folklore of goblins, but it's like, okay, but that's just you running around with like not a whole lot of clothing on and fucked up, not maintained weapons. Like that's all goblins are.
Yeah. If that's what's in your heart,
I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
Apparently,
don't watch
one of my
Goblin
interests
Slayer,
is
then.
also Capricorn vibes.
Uh-huh.
Don't even get into.
Are you
I'm
a
not-
Capricorn?
Yeah.
Nope, not even close to
Okay.
a Capricorn.
Well, recommendation.
Sagittarius vibes.
Are you a Sagittarius?
Not even close.
Okay, cool.
What
But
thing
I
is in
agree-
retrograde for you right now that is making this all bad for the rest of us?
I can probably tell you that the people who I buy gifts for are probably Sagittarius and Capricorns, would be my guess.
Gotcha. I see.
So, but the ironic thing is I haven't ever actually done any horoscope style shopping because I don't fuck that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing it's based around the time frame of me picking it up.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing.
that's their birthday month or whatever.
Oh, you buy a lot in August. Oh, you buy a lot in July, whatever
Right.
it may be.
Okay.
Whatever.
Are you guys ready to get started?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to a brand new episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpeer
Hello.
and the Nymph.
And you never find your remote? You're probably a Sagittarius.
If you want to find out what that means, that happened in the Outcast this week over at e1m1.cash.
The ones and numbers, dude. It's so hard for me to not swear at you right now. I just want
fair.
you to know.
That's fair. Torek in chat says, aka Capricorn. Thank you. That's incredible.
Oh no.
We talked about a whole ton of stuff in the Outcast, like dinosaurs, 4th of July, the scientists at Alani Nu, being completely burned out, Etsy stores, Goblin Core. We got it all. We got everything you would need over there.
You ever worried that you sound unhinged when you're reading up these notes, Boston?
Not really. I don't worry about much. I'm
It's a
fine.
group effort.
Yeah, it's all for the content,
that's
right?
true.
Yeah, he's not the one bringing up all these topics. We all
That's
are.
true. That's true. I'm merely
True.
the voice of the deity, and the deity is whatever banana stuff we get into on the Outcast.
I did have a banana lamp on my recommendations.
Perfect. Over there, you can get exclusive access to the Outcast, like we were just talking about, early access to We Rogue Like It and Critical Misses, exclusive access at the $5 tier or higher to the Critical Misses production meeting, which we'll have one of those coming up here shortly for season 38. Season 37 is well underway. Right there on the Patreon page. And then you get exclusive access to the Wayward Sons Supernatural TV show watchcast that Moon and Nimp are going through over there on e1m1.cash.
The ones and numbers.
Two quick plugs here at the beginning before we get started. New episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love is out now for audio listeners. The July episode of that. Talk a lot about Clair Obscur. So if you're looking for a continual deep dive on Clair Obscur, we'll talk a bunch about that from two people that aren't really clicking with Clair Obscur. We're trying to be fair about it. And then this week, starting from July 7th at midnight Pacific time till July 15th midnight Pacific time, I have a brand new fundraiser for the Bungie Foundation that's running for this week only. Check it out at DestinyEmblemCollector.com. If you're a Destiny fan, there's a ton of incentives, both provided by the Bungie Foundation, provided by me, and then provided by a group of other Destiny third-party apps as well. We're revitalizing the developers fundraising group, which if you're thinking, is that Steve Ballmer thing? The answer would be, yes, it definitely is the Sweaty Ballmer thing. So check that out over there. There's some fun incentives. There's some fun rewards over there. DestinyEmblemCollector.com for this next week. All right, plugs over. Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
I mean, you say the plugs are over, but I've got to mention two things. I found my next T-shirt, which is Live, Laugh, Toaster Bath. I need to find the origins of that and buy that T-shirt.
Okay.
I know that's probably going to get vetoed as a show.
It's
show
very
title, so
2025 appropriate, though.
I mean, I've seen a couple of TikToks recently about I love it when your loved one is already in the bath waiting for you, and they draw back the curtains and the toaster's just sitting there in the bathtub.
That's really funny.
And apparently Etsy has different recommendations based on the app versus the website.
Oh, of course.
The website says I should check out Snackable Style as a great alliteration category theme.
Are you snackable?
Because I don't even know.
Who knows?
I would say no, but that's just me being me.
Would that be some like heinous thing? It's like when people used to call women like fun size.
Right.
It's like, yeah, like the rule of thumb thing.
Yeah.
Whole rule of thumb thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's not go down that that rabbit hole, whatever. You forgot about the most important plug for your charity stream, Boston.
Yes.
Shrimp and grits get head scritches.
No, they get head kisses. That's the most important part.
Sorry, head kisses.
I give them, if you want head, yeah, but for a $2 donation, you can choose a smooch from my lips to the cat's heads for one of the two cats. You get to choose which one is your favorite one. And if you can't choose,
yes,
that's 2 donations. $2 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cheap for a head smooch.
Choose both.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the only game I've been playing to a T. Check out the Game Club coming up on that at some point soon. Other than that, the only game I've been playing is literally Despot's game. If you want backstory into why, become a patron. Check out the pre-show.
Yep.
That's literally the best way to find out why I'm only playing this game. 62.
I was going to ask what your estimated wins are up to at the moment.
My fingers crossed, estimated, hopefully they count wins.
That's right.
Is 62.
I'm watching footage of this game, remembering
quote-unquote guaranteed wins is like 4.
Yeah. Watching footage of this game, remembering I liked this game a whole lot. And hearing you talk about the achievements, remembering
not this much.
That's why I stopped playing it, because some of the stuff in that game can be pretty devious.
Yeah. Platinum trophy for 51 gamer score. Go straight to Despot. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200 humans. Yep. Go straight to Despot. Just no. It is vile, evil, incarceration punishment that I absolutely despise. But it's working out nicely because I don't have to think or do anything. And I can just zone out in my depression while I just hit the button and watch the people go wee down the tubes.
Right.
I will say though, it sure is recommending me Slime 40K or whatever it's called, the sequel to Despot's game.
Right.
Is that a Bullet Heaven game?
If I remember correctly, I think it is a Bullet Heaven game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like recommended for you because you're only playing Despot's game, Slime 40K.
Also, are you okay? Are things fine? No, Xbox.
No.
Things are not fine.
This
Check
is
it.
like Netflix doing that call out for the people who watched like Christmas Bride like 6 times on Christmas Day, back to back to back, or whatever
Right.
it is. It's like, dude, no.
Just wanted
Like-
to send you an email, ask you, are things okay?
No, they're not.
No, but thank you.
If you want to know why, look around.
That's right.
Also become a patron.
That's right.
If you can. We understand if you can't.
Yeah.
It's Despot's game. You've heard me talk about this before. I'm at 60-something wins. I'm trying to get to 100 before the 10th because that's when the new season starts and I will go up a league, which will make like
Oh no.
the King of the Hills harder.
Oh no. Of course they will. Why wouldn't they?
Uh-huh.
Grumble, grumble.
And if I can't do it by then I guess I'm just going to wait till the next season starts and it demotes me again.
Right.
And then I can start from scratch at the Greenhorn League all
Mhm.
over again.
Oh boy.
I hate
Just
this
so you
game and I
know-
don't.
Slime 3K is on sale for $2.49 on Steam right now.
Dang,
I
that's a
know,
sale.
it keeps telling me.
I mean,
Hey, bot.
to be fair, we'll probably get to it on We Roguelike It at some point.
At
Because
some point, yes.
it seems like it's appropriate for the show, just not right now.
Yes. At Boston, speaking of which, I've got the most out-of-pocket recommendation for the next We Roguelike It game.
Okay, sure.
You have Nintendo Online, right?
Yeah, I'm 90% sure, yes.
Okay. Lilac Wars. Let's go.
Oh God. The police are coming. They're gonna arrest you for recommending Lilac Wars.
That's fine. They can arrest it. For my American compatriots, that's Star Fox 64.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know.
Oh man.
That's my out-of-pocket recommendation that has been consuming my brain for like 3 weeks. But if I didn't say it, I would forget.
It's
So,
the
there we
Kermit
go.
in the Sith outfit saying, "Do it, recommend it,
Do it.
do it."
Do it. Do it. Do Lilac Wars. Do it.
That's right.
I wonder if you can choose the version so I can play Lilac Wars and you can play Star Fox 64 and we can double roguelike it in the best way possible.
That's right.
But yes, that's all I've been playing. Nim, what have you been playing, please?
You caught me when I'm trying to write a title. I mean, give me a moment. All
Take your
right.
time.
The first game, I've only been playing 3 games so far. The first game that I played this week that I was checking out was Mecha Break, because that officially came out.
Hmm.
This is free to play. It's on Steam and it's on Xbox. No word about a PlayStation version of it yet. I don't think this game is for me, unfortunately.
Okay.
Only because I didn't know.
Do not besmirch Warframe that way.
Those are
Warframe is
different.
100% for me. That's why I had to stop
I
playing
know.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. It's the Elite
Which-
Dangerous problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. The funny thing is, somebody at work was like, "Do you play Warframe?" I'm like, "That's a name I haven't
No.
heard in a very long
That's right.
time for a real good reason." And they're like, "Oh, so you used to play."
Speaking
I'm
of Star Wars, that's the Ben Kenobi line. That's a name I haven't heard in a long
Exactly.
time.
Right. So
Hey,
the reason why
TennoCon is happening right now, just so you know. I'm just saying
Oh,
because
is
my
it?
Xbox dashboard told me it was. So
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, even though I don't play Warframe anymore, I would love to go to TennoCon one time.
So
It's
would
got
I
to be a
too.
blast.
it's
Yeah.
like the nicest community.
Yep.
It's in Greenland? No, Iceland.
One
Yeah?
of those.
Where life is worth living.
Yeah.
Life is
It's
worth
it's
living in
one of those
Iceland,
places.
but I know there's some business out in Greenland too. But anyway, that's way out of scope. But so the reason this game isn't for me is because I did not know that this was kind of like a hero, like shooter kind of thing.
Oh.
Oh, I'm
you-
so glad I did not install this game.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with that. It was just my understanding was, and granted, this is my fault because I had seen a couple of videos, heard a couple of people talk about it. I'm like, you know what, that sounds really interesting. I'm gonna stop paying attention to it. That way, you know, I can experience it when it comes out. So this isn't anything like the company wasn't talking out of both sides of their mouth or anything. This is purely on me. Um, but my understanding was this was basically supposed to be like anime Warframe, or not Warframe. I almost swore there too. That's how loosey goosey we are today. It's supposed to be like anime Armor Core, where it's like, okay, you have your mech, you build your mech, and then you bring it out there and you fight stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a mode that is kind of like that. But yeah, for the most part, the main mode that everyone was playing and that I played a lot was what's called the Striker mode, and that's you can either do trying to remember, I think it's 3 versus 3 for the Striker mode.
Okay.
And you pick whatever mech you want, and there's like different kinds. There's like ones that are fast and agile and have like a charge up like rifle and a sword that you can switch to and a shield. There's one that I like to play as that's called the Tricera, and that's because it has like 2 Gatling guns and a howitzer on its back, and its
So
ultimate
it's tops, is what you're saying?
yeah. But the ultimate is it throws up a shield, these defense drones come out, and I just hold down the triggers, and there's just bullets flying everywhere, and it's glorious.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do they have heat sinks?
No. Everything.
What's the point? What's the point of a mech game if you don't have heat sinks?
So what they do though for that is like with the Gatling guns that I had on Tricera, you have an ammo count, but you have infinite ammo. So the Gatling guns, like one Gatling gun had, I think it was like 243 rounds. The other one had like 140. When they run out, you have a cooldown while it's reloading for like a couple of seconds, and then you can just hold down the trigger and it just keeps firing.
Okay.
The howitzer is the same thing too, because that's supposed to be like your big beefy weapon for that mech. So you have 3 shots with that, and then it has to sit there and slowly recharge / reload.
I gotta say, for the developers though, that cooldown is a perfect time for a giant heatsink to pop out of the robot's back and go hiss.
Yeah,
that's cool every time.
It would be pretty sweet because
I'm just saying.
I haven't noticed.
Heat sinks?
That's right.
Well, it's like I haven't noticed a reload animation at all, or like anything moving around on the mech or anything like that. And I also, and I may just not have discovered it, but I also couldn't figure out a way to just have it reload.
Like without running the ammo counter down?
Yeah, because there would be a couple times, especially in one of the other modes that I was playing, where I would have 10 bullets left, and I would just have to hold it down to shoot out those 10 bullets real quick, so that way it would start reloading it.
Weird, okay.
Which is kind of weird, and maybe there is a reload function, and I just haven't found it. There's like a ton of menus and options for this game. So playing it, though, like it plays really nice. It looks really nice. On my computer that I was playing it on, I was able to play it on ultra high settings and all that fun dumb crap, but there is like a ton of options for you to go through, so that way you can get the frame rate right, and you can pick and choose what different things you want running on this. So it's got the full customizable thing, so that way you can get it to run great on your PC. I have no clue how this runs on Xbox. Unfortunately, I just didn't have time to try it out. But the main thing is, yes, it's free to play. So far, no, there is not there is like a season pass, and you can, like with Warframe, how you could buy certain frames and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
But just like Warframe, there's not a pay to win. You are just buying, hey, this just happens to be a different mech that you can buy with real money.
Oh, okay.
You can, however, earn in-game currency by completing in-game achievements and stuff like that, so that way you get mission points, and you can use those mission points to also buy those mechs.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't mind the grind, besides, and I think it was pretty much the same thing with Warframe, like the only thing that you had to spend money with on Warframe was like the Prima version or the Prime versions of those.
And you could earn currency for it.
True.
Right.
And this does have a market in there where there are certain items that you can sell for the real world money equivalent in game, and you could use that to purchase stuff in game as well.
Okay.
So it's kind of 1-to-1 with Warframe like that. But after a while of playing, like I just didn't want to play against other people. There are different modes. There's like the whole thing where it's like, oh, there's this cart that we have to push, to the
Yeah.
other side, and the other team's doing the same thing. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. There's another one where it's like capture these data points, and then it's basically like domination from Call of Duty. And
Right.
it's like, okay, that's pretty fun, especially playing as Tricera. I can hunker down on one of the points and just blast anything that comes into range.
But it's kind of your
The one
standard
thing,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
the one thing that does kind of suck is that and I don't, from what I was reading, it doesn't sound like this is any different on Xbox. There isn't a lock on. There's a soft lock on that you get where on your screen you have your crosshairs, and there's like a bigger circle on the outside of those crosshairs that shows you basically your health, your shields, your charge rate, all this other stuff. If there's an enemy within that circle, you'll start to see like this red triangle that will lock on to an enemy, and that lets you know, okay, if you start firing, it's going to start hitting or aiming at whatever that red triangle's at. And you can manually aim, but there's just not a hard lock on. It's just a soft lock on.
Interesting.
And some of these mechs move super fast. So it is kind of difficult to get with that soft lock on, even to try to get them until they're finally, standing there. And it's like, all right, cool. Now I can start shooting you. But everyone is like bullet sponges in this game. Like, it takes so much to take somebody out. And that got kind of annoying. But that's just me. The other mode that I was actually enjoying, here, let me pull it back up because I was going to forget the name. It's called Mash Mac.
Okay.
This is the mode where you can actually go through and you get items, and that you can put those on your mech, and that will increase the combat efficiency of that mech, and it'll change the parameters of different stats and stuff like that. The thing that I don't like about Mash Mech is that it is a PvEP extraction mode.
Okay, it's got one of them too.
Yeah, and I will say I had fun in this mode, but you can definitely tell. So the way that they separate it out with everybody is when you first start out, there's a normal, hard, and expert mode. You can only go into normal mode, and it's dictated that from combat readiness 0 up to 2000, you can only participate in normal mode.
Okay.
So as long as your combat effectiveness or combat readiness is within that range, that's all you can do. As soon as your mech goes to like 2001, you are now in hard mode. You cannot go down to normal, and you can't go up to expert either. You're just stuck in whatever your combat readiness is, which I kind of appreciate a little bit, because that kind of keeps the player base within the general. Like, you don't have just some dude showing up and just blasting everybody.
I spent $5,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that part I didn't mind, but the thing that was starting to become annoying is that you are fighting all of these enemies, which is great. And then as soon as you get done fighting all these, you got like all these people watching you off to the side that all of a sudden just show up and start blowing you up because you're down on health because you were fighting this massive gunship, which was a really cool fight. And all of a sudden I'm taking sniper damage from these other people because they were just sitting there watching. And when you die, you lose any of the items that you pick up because they'll all come in and just grab everything off of your basically your wreckage. And you can go back to your wreckage and you can claim your stuff. And you can also, if you happen to pay attention and happen to know where they went, you could technically hunt them down and get your crap back, but it is very difficult to do. One thing that I do kind of like about this mode, well, not really like, I like how they changed it, is that this is also technically mixed in as a battle royale. There is not a shrinking...
Is there a mode that this game does not have?
No, this thing like hit everything.
Yeah.
It's really weird. But it's not a shrinking circle, though. What happens is you have these storms that come in, and they start out really small, and they just show up on the map. But those circles start to expand. So you can have, like this one map that I was on, there was 6 storms that started, and they all started out pretty slow. but they start to expand bigger and bigger and bigger, so they start cutting off areas that you can go into, and that's kind of pushing everyone
Oh,
to
interesting.
different portions of the map.
Hmm.
So it's not a full on just like, oh, you're inside the circle and you need to stay in there. It's like, no, the circles are starting to show up
That's
and they're
kinda
starting to
fun.
push you. Yeah, and it was a little different. It was cool. The thing that sucks is that you have to extract with your equipment. You have to sit there and charge the extractor. And once somebody on your team, if you play it with a team, you can also play the solo, but once somebody charges it, then you can all extract. Meanwhile, everyone can see that you're extracting. Like, it shows at the top, hey, extraction destination A is unlocked.
Right.
And as soon as someone starts to extract, everything goes off, letting you know that, hey, somebody's at A.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone can rush there and just wipe you out, take your crap, and then they can leave.
Right.
So that got kind of annoying after a while. Again, though, I am not a huge hero shooter person,
Mm-hmm.
but if that sounds up your alley, I mean, I did enjoy
yeah,
playing this game. Good.
You're not a streamer, of course. You're not a hero shooter person.
Exactly.
Hey.
But there is a lot of customization that you can do for your pilot. There is a lot of customization that you can do for your mech. You're not really changing out the weapons in the striker mode, but in this Moshmak mode, you can change what weapons you go in there with, I believe. It looked,
Okay.
because I was picking up weapons and stuff, so I believe you should be able to do that at some point. But it's also a free-to-play game, so like I said, there's like 50 windows that open up.
Right.
Like, you're trying to parse through and read things and stuff. So it was fine. I enjoyed parts of it, but it's not.
It's just not
like,
for
if
you.
they, yeah, if they ever just do like a co-op PvE mode, that's probably where I would stay, because that's just
Right.
what I wanted. But like I've said with with a bunch of games, like, right now as it is, it just isn't for me. But I don't think it's a bad game because of
Right.
that. Like, I did have enjoyment with it. Some of the mechs are all completely different from each other. So you do have a lot of variety that you can choose from and utilize, and there's a lot of different strategies you can put out there, but it's just not my scene.
Yeah.
So Mecha Break, give it a shot. It's free. Have fun with it, I guess.
Right. I hope you have
It's like,
fun with it.
Yeah, it's just not for me. So
Yeah.
the next game that I played was AI Limit, which I honestly thought I wouldn't talk about this week because I didn't really play this game like at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday happened, and then I kind of got into a flow. And according to PlayStation, I'm 85% through the main story now.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, so I got into a real good flow. There was a couple of bosses that I fought that I thought were going to be a problem. And like my second attempt, I just blow right through them. There's this one, the Swamp Marsh that I was talking about last time. I finished exploring that. I got to the boss, and it's like this huge hunter that jumps down. It's like, cool, let me start fighting this guy. I get him down to like a quarter health, and all of a sudden a second guy shows up. I'm like, oh, crap, it's one of those bosses where
Come
there's
on,
more
guys.
than one. So then I take on the hunter. I drop him down to, I think, like half health or just below half health, and then another hunter shows up. So now there's like 3 guys
Ah,
here.
jeez.
God. Luckily, the I don't remember, I think they called it the Berserker Hunter, the first one that shows up. Just a big beefy dude, tons of HP. The second one that shows up was just a shooter, like a range character, which was kind of annoying, but there's massive trees that you can that you could hide behind. And the arena was big enough that you can kind of goad one of them to you while getting cover from like the shooter. But the third one that shows up is like this assassin type that was super fast. But both of those, once I took down the brawler and I could concentrate on the other 2 easily, like, I think I took those things out in like 5 hits. Like, there wasn't a whole lot to them. They just did a lot of damage, and they had like a lot of range and area of effect kind of stuff going on. I'm like, all right, cool, take out the last guy, and then the 4th boss shows up, and this guy sucks. And I went in there just goofing off. Like, let me see where this even goes. I think it was like my second attempt, and I was like, I should start parrying more again just to do it. And I was down to like no health items. I was 100% not planning on winning this fight, and then I just managed to wipe all of them out with no health items and a sliver of health. Like,
Dang.
Cool. All right, I'll take that one. Moving on to the next areas, there's like a bunch of cool stuff story-wise, where this is basically before the fall of humans. There's like the stuff that I'm reading, like basically everyone got like deep dive technology exists, like VR deep dive technology exists now. Along the lines of Ready Player One, along the lines of, Sword Art Online, that kind of fun crap. Everyone lives in this. But at this point, I have pieced together that the pilgrims who are trying to take you or are trying to find the promised land, I'm pretty sure they're talking about this VR video game that everyone in the world was playing.
Gotcha.
And the only thing that leads me to believe that is they were talking about there is a thing in here 100% about capitalism where it's like, hey, this company just released this bio waste recycling bag. Can you imagine being able to deep dive for longer than a day or two and never having to get up to use the bathroom, to eat? Yeah, you can play for 7 days straight before you have to get out of your experience to, change everything out. And then you can go right and like, that is 100% capitalism right there.
For sure.
I'm just having an absolute blast with this game. I know a lot of people, reading some of the comments from other people on this game, it's the same normal stuff where it's like, I'm just trying to look up, like, hey, what's a good strategy for this boss? Or, what I'm having a problem with this boss. What should I be looking out for? And of course, the first 25 comments are just useless goobers online that are just like, get good or whatever.
Anime
like,
garbage. I can't
exactly.
believe. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I will get good, and then I'll find your mom and get good with her too.
Right.
If this is the way we're going, if you're not going to be helpful, yeah,
Right.
exactly. But then you get down to like the people who really enjoy this game, like me, who are like, okay, no, let us know what your build is, let us know what weapons you're giving. We can try to give you hints on, or try to work up a strategy for you to help get you through it. So luckily, there is enough people out there who also enjoy this game,
Right?
Because it's a fantastic game. I just absolutely love it. One of the things that I didn't mention last week that I wanted to is in this game, when you die, you're not doing your body. You just lose souls or the crystals. That's it. The thing that changes the amount that you gain from killing something or the amount that you lose when you die are the nucleus that you have equipped. That tells you, it's like, hey, when you die, you'll lose, like, let's say 60% of your crystals, but you'll gain, let's say, like 75% crystals on an enemy death. Like, okay, so that's not too bad. But then you get other ones where it's like, yeah, you'll gain like 95% crystals, but you'll lose like 80% crystals if you die. So you get this kind of risk reward thing of, okay, I get all this extra crystals, but if I die, I'm losing pretty much everything that I've earned at this point.
Yeah.
So it's a nice risk reward system that I've messed with a little bit here and there. But outside of that, AI Limit is just a great game. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to beating it. Talking with a couple people online, it sounds like I'm getting to the point where the bosses start to become a lot more serious and a lot more difficult. I was like, all right, cool. We'll see how that goes. You may just hear me banging my head on the podcast about one boss next week. Who knows?
Right.
The last game that I have this week is Division 2.
Hey.
My son and I have had a couple of chances to play this game. It was also, I think it's until today, it was like 5 times XP bonus.
Oh, yeah. I didn't
like
get to play as much as I wanted to this week, but the 5 times XP bonus is nice.
You and, I forget the other dude's name. There's another guy in the clan, the TVGP clan, who have been doing like a ton. And you guys have unlocked a like a bonus cache or something like that we could get from the clan setup.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it that much, but there's like a whole infrastructure in this game for clans where like you have a banner and you have like a vendor in the White House that has clan stuff, and there's also a ton of projects you can do across the clan of like you defeated 1,000 outcasts this week, so you got a bunch of bonus XP, and you
deconstructed like 200 items as a group or you know, whatever.
So like as the clan kind of does those things throughout the week and earns clan XP, then you unlock clan caches. And in this game, caches are basically just like treasure chests they give you, and they open up, it'll be like just random smatterings of stuff from anywhere kind of across the whole game.
Yeah, of whatever your current level is.
Right.
Which is really nice because out of the cache, I got an LAMG, which had the biggest amount of damage I've seen on any weapon so far. It was spec'd down to my level, and it had I think it was orange. Yeah, because it wasn't red. It had a silencer that was permanently locked onto it, and 200 rounds on it, and it was doing, I think, like 145,000 damage. And it's like, this is amazing. And I'm like, the sad thing is that as soon as we complete this mission, I'm gonna get some piece of crap weapon that's gonna do way more damage than this, and I'll have to stop using it. And sure enough, the next weapon I got was way better, and I was super disappointed. Boss, I think you're muted.
I'm muted, because you're not level 40 yet, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, today I just got to 35. 34,
okay,
35.
you're right there.
So, yeah. So, we were, and I did mention in Discord, which may have confused a lot of people. Last week I talked about how like a bunch of my items were missing, my Christmas items were missing from my stock.
Yes.
That was all in there. Like I reloaded back in there, everything was back in there. It's like, all right, cool, I'm out. That's great. But yeah, so we hit level 30, and after completing this, I believe it was the last story mission that was on the map.
Okay.
And we hit level 30. We leave the area. My son and I both level up, and the game just starts barfing tutorial windows at us. Like, hey, did you know? Oh, you guys want to talk about recalibration? Let's talk strongholds.
Oh, God, yeah.
Hey, here's this other thing that's happening now. It's like, let's talk about world progression and your meta progression that you can do with your characters, and like literally all these things. We're getting shot at, and we're trying to clear these windows so that way we can run away. Yeah.
I've recently got into recalibration, and that's an incredible, really cool system for like eventually manually putting god rolls on the weapons that you love. But it has taken me so long to figure out just how to do anything with the system.
So I sat down and watched a bunch of videos earlier this week before we even hit level 30, because I was just curious, like what are the things that you can do for the end game of this? And there's a lot.
There is a lot.
Like not even including DLC. There's a lot.
Yeah.
One of the things with the reconfiguration is that you can take an item, or you can take a stat from an item, and you can pull it, and that, I believe, that destroys the weapon, but that adds that stat to your library. And once it's in your library, yeah, you can add that stat to any weapon you want to reconfigure. I don't know if it's within the same category or if it's just
it has to be
any
the same family. So like for anybody that isn't playing, let's say on an LMG you get a drop, and the LMG drops with damage to enemies outside of cover at 15%. Let's say that's like the maximum percent it can be. You can extract that value off of that gun and store it in your library. And like you said, it destroys the gun. But either you can take a stat on, let's say you have a LMG you really love, and 2 out of the 3 stats are great, but that third stat isn't very good. You can just replace it with one of the stats you have in your library. Or if you have an LMG, say for example, that has like damage to enemies out of cover at like 3%, you can upgrade that all the way up to 15%, because that's the maximum value you have in your library. That's setting aside the expertise system, which is a totally separate system that I'm also just getting into. That's
the whole proficiency expertise thing where it's like, oh my God.
It's such a great system that I'm now only wrapping my head around. So basically what I'm doing in the game is I'm picking up everything as junk, unless it's something that's like a named weapon where the name is in orange. And the first thing I'm checking is it better than a roll that I have in my library? If it is, I just extract that into my library and I call it a day. If it isn't, then I go over to my proficiency screen and I donate all junk to my proficiency. And that's going to level up anything that I'm donating in there. So the proficiency system is really great because the intention is you're going to use a ton of different gear that you have. The proficiency stuff applies to everything: armor sets, skills, and weapons. And you're basically saying, like, I'm leveling up my proficiency from 0 to 10 on an individual piece of gear. And it's like the Harris & Co. armor chest that has this name. Or one of my favorite weapons is a rifle called Baker's Dozen. And it has a stat on, I think it's Perfect Mulligan. Every time you miss a shot, it returns that shot to your clip.
Nice.
So, like, you're just firing forever and hoping it hits something. Every time you upgrade, let's use the Baker's Dozen as an example. Every time you level up, when you level up that weapon to proficiency level 10, you can then upgrade it based on your expertise level. And you gain an expertise level every time you gain 100 proficiency levels across anything. And every time you upgrade your expertise on a weapon, it gets 1% stronger, or on your armor, you get 1% more armor, and that maxes out at 30%. So if you're investing a lot of time in the game, you can get pretty significantly strong. Like, I'm at 5% now, and I'm already like 5% extra armor on top of a lot of the armor I'm already using is kind of a lot. So, but getting into it, the system is inherently incredibly confusing. I watched a bunch of videos on it too, and I'm like, none of these words make sense. Like, what am I? And someone eventually was like, dump all of your junk into this system. You will figure it out as stuff gets leveled up. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, just
sure,
keep messing with it.
I guess. Yeah. And once I started doing that, I was like, oh, yes, now I understand the system. Okay, it's just very complicated on paper.
Yeah, because now, too, since we've hit level 30, we've unlocked the additional class stuff. So now we have the special item, special weapon.
Yeah, your
my son and I...
signature weapon, is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called, yeah. My son and I have both decided to go with Demolition Expert, which gives you, like, the grenade launcher.
It's
and this opens up... Yes, this opens up a whole other skill tree on top of the other new skill tree that we unlocked with Isaac, which I haven't even tried to mess with yet. Yeah. There's skill trees on top of skill trees, and I think there's a third skill tree thing when we hit level 40. So
there might be, yeah.
Just remember, all the stuff that I'm talking about, this is because the game has been up for years.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be stacked on like this
as
soon as you hit level 30. So we're checking that stuff out, and there's like a bunch of stuff that opened up because now that we're 30, we noticed that when you aim down sights and you've got like your magazine and your weapon selection and all that stuff, we had like these 3 boxes. And the enemies have different symbols and colors. Yeah.
Yep.
We're like, what the heck is that now?
Yep.
And we noticed, and there was also like a charge bar next to your magazine for whatever weapon you're using. So we're like, what the heck is all this crap?
What is all this new UI? What the? Come on.
Yeah. So we started figuring out, I was like, okay, certain enemies will have certain either circle, square, or triangle, I think it is. And they're all color aligned. Like, I think it's green, yellow,
it's red, yellow,
something.
and blue for the different colors for your armor.
And what happens is you kill enough of people that have those symbols above their head. It fills that box to up to level 5, I think it is when you start to get a buff for that specific thing.
Yep.
And we're like, okay, cool. We figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
What is this bar that keeps filling up when we kill things? And we're like, okay. I started to notice that when that bar gets full as you're killing things, the last kill that you get that completes that bar, all of a sudden that enemy that you kill drops an orange item, which is ammunition for your specialized item.
Yeah, that's your signature weapon ammo progress bar. Whew.
Yes. And there was a lot of give and take of trying to figure that out and figure out, okay, can we just use the grenade launcher whenever? Yeah, you can pull that thing out and it has no ammunition, but you pulled it out, you know, so you're not filling like an ultimate bar meter or something like that.
Right.
It's just whenever it has ammo, you can just hold down, for us because we're on PlayStation, you can hold down triangle and you just pull that bad boy out and shoot however many rounds you have on it, and then you're good to go. All right, cool. New thing for us to screw around with. It didn't take me very long to be like, I wonder if we can kill ourselves with this. You can.
Oh, for sure.
Grenade launcher does have friendly fire on.
Oh, yeah.
Or at
100%.
least personal friendly fire on anyway.
Yep.
Because that's the other thing, too. Like, this entire time, I don't know if that's an option you can turn on and off, but this entire time, we've been able to shoot through each other, no problem. So we haven't had to worry about it. I just happened to clip a tree the wrong way with a grenade, and that took me out.
Down.
Like, oh, okay.
So my recommendation, though, is with the symbols above the enemies. If you open up your character screen where you're looking at your gear, the 3 top items that you have there's a middle item that's basically like a thing on your shoulder, like your kind of like, not your watch, but it's basically a thing
but
on
it's
your...
like the Isaac thing.
Yeah, that like little Isaac kind of module.
Yeah.
If you click that will give you a short tutorial on the symbols and the colors menu. And there are active and passive buffs for this season that you can enable in there. And if you go, when you press options on PlayStation, it comes up with the like, it's like the clan, then your season, then your character, and then the other option on the right. Click on that and then select journey. That will have a whole, like, dozens and dozens of cool seasonal objectives for you to do. When you clear a bunch of those, they just dump tons of gear on you. Named stuff,
resource stuff
set
as well.
items, exotics, they just barf a ton of gear on you.
Yeah, because my son and I are both on, I guess, like Journey Mission 3.
Okay.
Out of 1, because we completed 1 and 2, and now we're on 3, and we only have to do, because that was the other thing, we also unlock strongholds.
Yes,
so we're going through and we've completed 2 or 3 strongholds at this point, and it's basically just go through this area. We're gonna barf a bunch of equipment and enemies at you,
and it's like a little bit longer than a main mission, and there's like 4 bosses instead of 1 or 2, but they're basically the same.
Yeah, I think there was like 4 or 5 like non-respawn areas that we went into.
Yeah.
One of them was really funny because there was a guy in a car with a turret on top of it in a parking lot. That car was not on wheels, it was on cinder blocks. They just mounted a turret on top of it to keep it stable as a platform.
Yep. It's real good.
It's like, okay, cool, we get to take that guy out.
Yeah.
We ran into, I think that same mission, I think it's a gas that basically puts the confused status on you.
Yes.
So your controls are all jacked up and wonky, and my son went down because of it. I went in and revived him, and then I guess I ran into the smoke because all of a sudden I could not get out of the way of bullets, and I almost went down because of that stupid gas.
Yeah.
So, I was like, all right, whatever. But we are having a ton of fun. We just hit the event where the map changes. It reset all of our control points, so we were able to finally finish that weekly journey thing that we couldn't do before.
Yep.
Now we're on to the next one eventually. But we're just trying to figure stuff out because everything we have all the extra pips and stuff all over the outside of the map for the DLC and like the seasonal objectives and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm not kidding. When you hit level 30, this game is just like, all right, it's open. Here's everything.
It's like rubbing its hands together. They're like, all right, let's do this. Yeah.
And it's still just a ton of dumb fun. And I understand why people have still been playing it for this long, because they just keep adding more like stuff to it. Like watching the videos, all the systems that they've added to it are complementary to you completing the system before it, and it just makes you stronger and gives you like cool different things for you to do. So that's why we haven't really messed with the proficiency stuff yet, because I think that's either the newest or like the second to newest system that they added. So it's like, we are nowhere near starting to mess with that. We're still grabbing crappers like, oh, this gives me like the most defense. Let me just equip it. I don't care what the other, stats are, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's really meant for like people like me that like I'm playing on challenging, which is the second highest difficulty, and everything I'm picking up is junk. Like I
Yeah.
could push to the highest difficulty, even though that's like everything would take a considerable amount of time. But like if you're picking up everything that's junk and you can put it all in that system, and you can only feed you can't feed purple items into it, you can only feed the like yellow items in there.
Okay.
um like that's when the system gets really useful, because it's like, well, I just finished, I don't know, like 2 hours of play. I dumped 100 items into the library or the proficiency system and just juiced that whole system up. Like that's when it gets really
Yeah.
really powerful, kind of like post level 40.
That's kind of what I was telling my son too, because we were starting to like we're starting to get weapons with the extra bond, like the LMG, or there was an AKM that I was using.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the black market version, where it's like you do extra damage to enemies that are on fire, and after your I think it was like your fourth kill, the next enemy that you hit with a bullet, you ignite.
Yeah, those are fun.
So we're starting to run into stuff like that, where it's like, okay,
Right,
cool, these are starting to have weird, interesting effects now that we can
right.
try to play around with. But I was telling my son, it's like, yeah, it sucks that it's like I find a weapon that I like, and I know within a couple of minutes I'm going to find something even better that I'm just going to equip because it's got better stats. And I'm like,
Exactly,
but
yeah.
then in a week or so, you're going to hear me complaining that we haven't gotten anything new in like over a week. What the
That's
heck is
right.
going on?
That's
Yeah,
right.
just because that's just the way these games are. When you get into these kind of looter games, that's just what happens. I understand that. It's just funny seeing it from both being on both ends and acknowledging that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you're
But
like, oh, I
I'm
got a cool
still going to
gun.
complain
Oh.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to check out more with like the reconfiguring stuff too, because I'm hoping that some of these guns that I have found that I get back at a higher level just because they have been really interesting.
Yeah,
And like the whole
and you
thing with the
definitely will.
mulligan, yeah, and the whole thing with like the mulligan stat that you were talking about, I was just sitting here thinking that's perfect on an LMG when I'm suppressing somebody.
Hmm.
You just constantly getting that ammo back until they finally pop their head out. It's like,
Well,
yeah, here we go.
and the neat thing about the library system too is that you can replace. There are three main. So there's like one primary skill, two secondary. Sorry, one primary stat, two secondary stats, and then a skill on the majority of items in the game. You can even replace the skill on your weapon too, where it's like, man, this thing is perfect. It just doesn't synergize with the skill, or like the skill is kind of garbage. You can just
Yeah,
replace that skill with something better. You still have to, like, you can't take something from like an assault rifle and put it onto an LMG or something. Like, it still needs to be
yeah.
in the same family. But I like that you're. It's the thing that I wish existed in Destiny 2 of like,
I was gonna say the same thing. I just didn't want to slam on Destiny
no,
1 and 2
yeah, but like
because
if it's like long term versus short term grinding of like, I'll
yeah,
farm for stuff hoping that I get the god roll, and if it's not like, if not everything in this weapon is perfect, that's fine because I'll put it in my library. And if everything it's like 4 out of 5, I'll just replace that fifth thing with exactly what I want, and I'll get
yep,
exactly the weapon that I want. Like I have replaced a skill. I got like a perfect uh, roll on this one weapon I was using, except for the primary skill. And I was like, well, great. I'll just spend a bunch of materials, put the right thing on there, and now I have a god roll weapon. Like that's
yeah.
the best system.
And just because we had brought it up, we were looking at stats on our PlayStations, my son and I, just to see what's the longest game we've ever played.
Mm,
Destiny 1 is my number one game at over 1,000 hours.
there you go.
And also, I'm an RPG fanatic, so everyone knows I don't have issues with grinding in a
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
So I really like the systems that they've put in here,
Yeah, me
especially
too.
for people like, because I'm seeing crap that it's like it's gonna be months, maybe even a year or two before I even touch any of these things legitimately
Right.
on purpose. And it's really awesome. I'm really loving this game. I'm kind of wish they would just make a third one already.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I do too,
or at
especially
least,
for like
good.
all these lessons they've learned. Like I think you put it really well that like so many of the systems in the game are really complementary to each other. Or like, when you hit weekly reset and the Black Tusk takes over part of the map again, like doing this event unlocks this mission, and doing a bunch of missions unlocks the like Tidal Base and Stronghold, and doing that gets you a bunch of stuff. Like there's this kind of like unfolding with all these systems and kind of on the weekly reset that I really like. And if I'd been playing it for the last 5 years, I'd probably be like, oh yeah, the Black Tusk are taking over Tidal Basin again. But right now I'm like, heck yeah, it's Tuesday. It's a reset day. Let's go. That's pretty exciting.
I think this is one of those few games that does the on-ramping really well for new players, because it does hold everything until you hit level 30.
Right.
Now, level 30 is the dumpster fire that we complained about other games that have been on there forever. But, I mean, at least up to that point, even like with us messing around, it's like we started to figure out the system as we were starting to mess with it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that like I had to sit down and watch a 40-minute YouTube video to be like, why is this new red square starting to fill up? What is this?
And also, to throw some shade deservedly at Destiny 2, it's also really great to play the base game in 2025 and not have it removed. Like, it's nice to play the Division 2 and have the tutorial for the game in there. Like, because that's what you're playing right now by playing the campaign, is you're playing the Division 2 tutorial, and then once you hit level 30, they open the floodgates of, like, the last 6 years of, like, here's all the patches, blah. But, like, you can still play, let's get your base weapon, and let's get your, like, your signature weapon, and let's make a build and your skills.
Let me show you how to reload your weapon.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
which we actually had the tutorial break on us. Every once in a while, the tutorial will pop up for either my son or me about random stuff. And today he had to run through the tutorial after we're already like beyond 20 hours in this game of how to reload your shotgun.
Great.
Guess what, guys? It's Square.
Right.
But
it's Square. It's a video game.
one last thing I wanted to bring up real quick too. We found a person who had the Resident Evil umbrella logo on their patch.
I've got that too. I forgot about that.
God, you suck. So my son noticed it, and I thought it was just a clan logo. Because I'm like, well, I hear that the clan, iconography that you can use is really, really open, and you can do a lot with it. So I'm like, so they probably just made one for their clan. And he's like, no, it's a patch. It's on his patch arm.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, how the heck do you get that? So I looked that up. Apparently there was an event last year for 2024 where you could unlock that patch through a seasonal story thing. You can unlock Leon's RPD outfit, Jill's outfit, Hunk's outfit, and one other person. I don't remember who. And I'm sitting here going,
during the
what
original
the heck?
during the original event, I got one of my favorite backpack trophies, because you have those little like charms that you can dangle on your backpack. It's a Jill sandwich, and it's a panini that has Jill's hat on it. And I was like, great, thank you. But like, that's the sort of stuff I wish they would bring back. Like, I understand that the developers, especially the publishers, really want an element of FOMO in this stuff. But I really wish there was a way, just like I've said with Destiny 2, just the same stuff I've praised stuff like Helldivers 2 and the Master Chief Collection for. You should be able to go and say, I want to work on the Resident Evil Battle Pass this time. Let's go do that. And then you have like however many levels of stuff that you just turned on. You're working on that one now. And next thing you want to do this thing.
Yeah. And all that stuff, it's just cosmetic crap. So it's not like I'm missing out on some like, primo weapon that I need to complete this section of the end game, or else I'm screwed kind of thing.
Exactly.
But I really want that umbrella emblem.
It's really cool.
And then one last thing. I know I said that last time, but when we were talking about them re-adding and revamping stuff, the past seasonal missions, it looks like you can go back through, not all of them, but you can do like the end highlighted mission for that season.
Right, you do like the boss fight essentially,
Yeah, and that'll barf out like season specific or story specific stuff for whatever that event was. So it's like, all right, cool, that we get like a kind of watered down version of what that is, so we can go back and see. I think the Roosevelt Island thing was one of the things that you could do that I had seen. Like, cool. Now we can go back through that and figure out why the barber had to die in the White House before we even
and they call it like manhunts or something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
There's
Yeah,
there's so many menus in here, and I know
there
there's crap
really
that I haven't
is.
even touched on. Like we were trying
Yeah,
to find something, and we were like, "What menu was that in? We can't find it anymore."
yeah,
But Division 2 is a great game. I'm
it's really great.
seriously considering, because originally we were gonna wait to buy the DLC when it goes on sale again.
Hmm.
If we continue to play this and we don't get bored with it, I'm seriously considering buying the DLC at full price just because we're having that much fun with this game. Like
Well,
it holds very well.
and the most recent DLC that came out, I think, was only $25. Like
Yeah, it
it's
wasn't
pretty
that much.
reasonable.
I think for both of them, it was only $40 not on sale.
That's pretty cheap. That's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff for $40.
So that's kind of where I'm at now, where it's like and I enjoyed it when I first played it too.
Yeah,
But like right now, especially considering how many years we are after its release, it's like, man, I might just give you guys full price just because I feel like you've earned it at this point.
it's in a really good spot. Like I think it's a
Yeah.
great time for people to hop back into Division 2. It's great.
So yeah, Ubisoft, you want to save your company? Get Division 3 out there.
That's right.
In a good, working, runnable way,
That's right.
and I will buy your product.
That's right.
So,
Fingers crossed.
but that's all I've played this week.
All right. I played a bunch more Final Fantasy V Forge Out Fiesta. Let's kind of blow through these because a lot of these runs aren't really super interesting. I think last time I was in the middle of my regular run, if I remember correctly. That was Thief, Red Mage, Geomancer, and Dancer. Struggled my way through that whole one. That was basically fighting the final boss and saying, okay, are my levels high enough? Nope. Get a couple more levels. Are my levels high enough now? Yep. Okay, great. I finished it. So, successfully finished that. Run number 4, I did a Typhoon run, which means that you're more likely to get jobs from the Wind Crystal than you are the other 3. So I got the ridiculous combination of Knight, Thief, Blue Mage, and Beastmaster. And this is the one run where you kind of want Beastmaster, because the combination of Blue Mage and Beastmaster is completely overpowered. For anyone who hasn't played Final Fantasy V, the Blue Mage learns skills based on getting hit by enemies and like special enemy skills, and then successfully finishing a fight. So
The way a Blue Mage should be.
exactly. So Blue Mage by itself can potentially be really annoying to get skills from some enemies, especially really late, very powerful ones, because either the enemy doesn't use them on your party, or they're hard to confuse the enemy and then have them use the right way. Great thing about Beastmaster is you can just control an enemy and then just say, I want you to cast this skill or spell on my Blue Mage, and then ta-da, we're going to finish the fight and I'm going to learn it. So that I destroyed that run. Between the Knight just two-handing every weapon and just doing double damage, and basically the funny part of the Blue Mage is they call it destroying bosses with math. The most powerful skill is level 5 death. It outright kills virtually anything. There's maybe one or two exceptions. Anything that has a level divisible by 5. But you can also kind of game that because you get a skill really early on called Dark Spark, which just halves the enemy's level. So a lot of times it's like cast Dark Spark twice, and then you can kill it outright with level 5 death. Or cast level 2 old, wait for a couple seconds, and then just kill it with level 5 death. So a lot of it is like, I see this boss, first turn, I kill it. Like, I wait for this boss to do this thing, I just kill it immediately. It's ridiculous.
Was 5 the one that you could do Vanish and X Dimension with, or was that 6?
That might be 6, I think.
Because I remember that was a big go-to where it's like 99% of the bosses
You just
put Vanish on them,
Yeah,
send them
just
to
vanish
X
'em.
Dimension, and you win.
Yeah, that might. I don't know if that's 5. If it is 5, then it's something I just like genuinely don't ever use. But
Yeah, that was just one of the methods, and I can't remember
Yeah.
because I haven't played either one in so long.
yeah, So I finished that run, and I'm in the middle of a geyser run, which is you're more likely to get water jobs than you are the other ones. I have Time Mage, Monk, Geomancer, and Red Mage. And that run is really interesting because half of my jobs are very like the Monk and the Red Mage are very strong for the first half of the game, and then drop off a cliff as Geomancer and Time Mage kind of get incredibly strong at that time. So like my run kind of flips at the halfway point. So but I'm still having a lot of fun playing this, and like I said, I've excuse me. I've been taking care of my under the weather kid this whole week, and it's really great as number one, a pausable game, and number two, a game that is very kid friendly. It's been great. I love Final Fantasy V. I'll say it again. I was just talking about this on We Rogue Like It. We have a really great Discord channel for the Fiesta, discord.tvgp.tv. There's a ton of people in there that are playing it this year across all skill levels. So like I have just shamelessly stolen Monkey Senior's idea of running through the list of runs in order and just doing those. So he and I are doing that. So you got people like him and I that can help you with some of the, like Feyror is having a really rough run in general. Like you can complete every run in Final Fantasy V no matter what they give you. But sometimes you're going to have to like figure out your way, like see through the matrix on some runs like the one that she's running through. But we have a bunch of people that are starting it for the first time and running that we're kind of helping them through. So if you want to play Final Fantasy V, the Fiesta is a really great way to run your first time through. And if you want to chat with us and you need some help, head on over there, over the Discord server. It runs until, I think, the end of August. So you have plenty of time to fit in whatever runs you want. Only other game I played this week, Death Stranding 2, on the beach. Played a bunch more
I
of that.
did read an article about this.
Okay.
The game should come with content warnings, right?
So, I
obviously I have had this spoiled for me because I read the article.
Sure. I have seen that. So I'm not going to talk about the story. I have seen that headline, but I didn't read it because I don't want this stuff spoiled. But I will say, in the first couple of chapters, from a storyline perspective, it's pretty rough, man. Like, I don't know where they're going with it. It seems to me like the majority of the story in this game is going to be a dealing with loss and dealing with overall kind of encompassing grief. I would say if you are sensitive to anything around that, I would probably recommend going and looking through some content warnings. I will agree with the headline of that game, of that article. I think there should have been some content warnings in here. I don't think anything so far has been explicit, but the grief surrounding a lot of the stuff in this game has been
It's pretty close to home.
No, it's been they're not really pulling punches with it. Like It's never a cruel game, but the game is very much saying like, yeah, man, like a lot of these situations really suck, and a lot of the stuff that characters are dealing with either in the current storyline or in the past just really suck, and it's really hard to go through a lot of this stuff. And I appreciate that they're doing that, but I do agree that like there should have been, I think, something at the beginning of the game of like, this game deals with topics of X and Y and Z. I think that would have been appreciated, and I think that
so the article in question actually points out that it doesn't It gives a bad example, which I haven't played it, so I don't know. But the 33 Expedition 33, wherever it's called,
Yeah,
has a big old content warning right at the front, which is kind of a little bit spoilery.
sure.
But it can also do what indie games have done, which is like on the main menu, here is a little corner notification saying content warnings
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
choose to go into that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like how more games are doing that of like, hey, before you start the game, set up the accessibility stuff. And I think content warnings are part of accessibility options overall. And I do like how more games are saying like, hey, before we get started, do you want to see the content warnings for this game? And some games are doing kind of like a two-tiered content warning of like, here are the themes we're dealing with. Do you want us to expand more on these themes? And if you do, then they get kind of very explicit about these things are going to happen, like a very spoilery isn't the right way of describing it, but like a very descriptive way of saying these are the specific things that are going to happen in these categories. And I think that stuff is especially important, especially as more games deal with more topics that are more difficult or hit closer to home, or maybe something that people that are playing it are struggling with at the moment. Like I've been doing, I'm almost 75 books read this year, and the majority of the books that I read have content warnings at the beginning of them. And it's just, if you don't care about them or you don't feel like you're going to be bothered by any of that stuff, just don't read it and keep moving on. But if you're going through something or you're sensitive to something, I think that stuff is really, really important.
I think too, socially, we're starting to get more and more to the point where it's more acceptable to be aware that
Yeah,
these type of things affect
Yes.
you.
exactly.
Because I know, especially with
To
like
use the
go ahead.
to use the buzzword, we are woke about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which, if you want to call me woke as an insult, guess what? I'm not going to take it as an insult because woke just means I'm sensitive to other people's feelings and
right.
experiences.
Yeah,
you're
that's
empathetic.
Like,
never
go away from
negative.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like I remember when Doki Doki Literature Club came out,
Yes.
and it had that very, very explicit, "Hey, this is dealing with a lot of stuff,"
Yeah.
and it took a lot of people coming out. It's like, no, you need to pay attention to that. If
They're
you are
not
going through
lying.
something, yeah,
Yeah.
if you're going through something, or if you're especially sensitive to this type of topic, do not touch this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we are now at that point where it's like, okay, no, this isn't, man up, shut up, play the
Right.
game, blah,
Just
blah,
deal
blah.
with
It's
it.
just a video game. It's like,
Right.
no, we're all going through crap right now, whether you
Right.
want to believe it or not. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, you just need to take these things a little more serious.
So I do agree, and I'm a little bit sensitive to some of the stuff that this game is going through. I don't think I'm we were just talking about buzzwords. I'm trying really hard not to say the word triggered because it's a word that has sort of lost a lot of meaning recently. But I don't feel myself being affected by a lot of the story personally, even though I think a bunch of it would hit home for me. Um, and I think I really like this game. It's just like, let's do a compliment sandwich here. I have played virtually nothing more this week than Death Stranding 2. I'm just doing a ton of um, deliveries. I'm doing a ton of infrastructure investment. I'm doing a ton of just helping people. There's a really cool system in this game where people can the there was the system in the first game where you can put down the little hologram signs like "keep on keeping on" or the like little heart for BB and stuff like that. Um, there's a complementary system in this game where you put down an aid sign and you can say, I need something in my game. And I need, let's say, weapons or improvement materials. Like, I really need special alloy. Can somebody just give me some? Or I need uh, like a PCC to build a infrastructure piece or whatever. Um, and you put down a little sign, and there's a little circle there on the ground that just says, hey, this person needs a weapon, or this person needs a pair of boots, or whatever. And you can just like fabricate one of those items and plop them down on the ground in that little circle and hit square, and you just send that item into that other person's game. And they do that great thing that you saw every once in a while in the first game, where the like white kind of like shadowy clone tar version of Sam pops out of the ground and just gives a thumbs up, and they sync down with the item you've given them, and you like your connection level with that individual other real player is increased. So it's nice that they have like an additional level of like increased investment in not only the world around you that's shared with other people, but also being able to say, I'm giving this thing specifically to another person. I think that's super cool. But I'm struggling a little bit with the story of this game. Again, no spoilers. Because I think I'm firmly in the middle of a Kojima story. And I just finished chapter 6 today. And I feel like in the middle of a Kojima story, a lot of times, a lot of stuff is happening. And there's a lot of weird things that are getting introduced and getting dropped. The cutscenes in this game are significantly shorter than the first game. Like, Nimp, you probably remember the first time you meet Heartman in the first game. It's just like, cool, man, here's like a 30-minute cutscene about 7 different things.
I did see someone posts, not on our Discord, but just in a Discord, that, hey, if you hit pause during a cutscene, there's a little time tracker, like a video.
Yeah, there's like a
how
progress
far into
bar.
the cutscene you are. Yeah.
I thought that was really smart too, because it's like,
I did too.
Okay, I paused it. Oh, I'm 50% of the way through this cutscene. Okay, and like there's like 3 options of like, I think it's continue, skip, or open the corpus, the kind of the like codex in the game. But like I'm not sure why the story isn't necessarily landing with me quite yet. I'm also watching the footage of this person playing that is just like playing this game significantly differently than I do.
You're doing it wrong.
Of just like, oh, you're just going to get in this bandit camp and just open fire, huh? Okay. That's a way to do it. Okay.
But that's also really cool that you're playing it completely different from a video that you've pulled up. And
right.
both of them seem to be working.
Right. There's also, I'm not sure I fully recognized or realized the system last week while I was playing, but there's like a whole, we talked about the skill tree last week. There's an entire like skill system in the game where there are 5 base skills and then 6 additional skills, 1 for each different weapon type. And like an RPG, someone called it like a saga game, which like push the pleasure centers in my brain.
Up on you?
They fill up based on what you do in the game. So like the heavier load of gear that you're carrying on your shoulders and you're holding L2 and R2, that means that skill raises up higher, and the higher that skill goes, the more stuff you can carry on your back without kind of like wobbling and falling over. The more you hold...
They oblivioned it.
Exactly. And like
they Morrowinded it.
The more you hold your breath, the longer you can hold your breath for, and the more your stamina bar increases. Like, the more you sneak up on enemies and tie them up with your the strand rope, the quieter your steps are, and like the further away you can tie them up. And then you have the additional weapon skills where it's like shotgun, assault rifle, machine gun, handgun, spoiler stuff. And the more you use those, the faster you reload, the less your reticle sways, the faster you like ready your weapon from your hip. So like, it's interesting because I don't have much in the way of weapon skills, because I am like, there's a really interesting system in this game where I think they realized one of the frustration in the first game was like, cool, I ran into a bandit camp between these two big deliveries I'm doing, but I can't like sneak around in the grass because my delivery is like 6 feet taller than the grass I'm trying to hide in. They do a really cool thing in this game where you can just, outside of these camps or pretty much wherever you want, you just take off your backpack and put it on the ground and then just take whatever you need into these bandit camps, sneak around with nothing, wipe out the whole bandit camp, and then pick up your gear and then continue on your way. Which I think
Does
is
it still have like the leg braces for the stuff like that, where you can
yep,
put like
your
stuff on
skeletons.
your arms and
Yep,
legs?
you can do all that too. It has the batteries. It has all the cool stuff you can put on your backpack. You now have different styles you can put on your suit. So different kind of camos, where it's like this is perfect for the desert. This is perfect for buildings. This is really great for muddy areas. Sort of a la MGS3, but without the like percentage meter or anything. But for story wise, I feel like I'm in that middle realm of like, yeah, I've got a lot of characters and we've got like, I really don't want to spoil anything about this game, but like I keep going back to this area to check on how people are doing, and you get like a 2 or 3 minute cutscene and everyone's sort of there, and then they're like, okay, cool, pick up a new delivery, let's keep connecting. And it's like, okay, like I respect that there's kind of more of an economy to the storytelling on this. And it still does a lot of the same stuff that Death Stranding 1 did, of like, okay, Sam, you need to bring this next place on the chiral network. Go back 2 places you were before, pick up a huge load of stuff, and then go like 5 places past where you were. And I was like, yep, okay, that's Death Stranding. That's the stuff I love.
Yep.
So like, I'm really enjoying the game, and I think it is really nailing a lot of what I loved about Death Stranding 1. It is extending and improving on so many of the systems that I liked in the first game, of like, I feel like I'm getting a much better rewards for investing deeper into my whatever the relationships are with the shelters. Like, you have the 5 stars, like every time you fill up a star you get a reward. I feel like you get much better rewards much earlier in this game, or if like a shelter is really out of the way, then investing in that is going to get you some really, really good rewards. Like, one of the first things you get in the game are the battle skeleton legs, and you get like the level 3 ones pretty quickly, and it's just like, you carry 100 kilograms more cargo. They deflect enemy bullets if someone shoots you from behind. They can use the battery to sprint super fast, and that's all in this one pair of legs. I'm like, dang, okay, I've been playing this thing for like 10 hours and you're giving me like the cool skeleton? Like, okay, dang. I have run into some additional stuff from I was talking last week about the mines and improving those. I've run into some additional incredibly cool infrastructure stuff that I don't really want to talk about because those are kind of spoilers. And I had a moment this morning of like, that can do that. Okay, yeah, cool. That's incredibly cool. I will mention there's one thing I ran into that is really tickling. The cars that you can build, they don't have the same cars and like motorcycles and stuff as the first game. They're functionally the same, of like, here's a trike, and here's a pickup truck, and here's a van, and that sort of thing. They do have additional things that you can put on it's like the pickup truck and bigger. They have 2 like attachment areas on the side. They just gave me my first 2. These are ridiculous. The first one is an auto looter. So basically, when you're driving this thing next to any sort of like deliveries or materials or gear on the ground, an arm finds it and just shoots out the like sticky gun equivalent, grabs it and puts it in the back of the truck automatically while you're driving. And I was like, okay, that's incredibly cool. The other one is just a gun that just automatically finds BTs or humans and just takes them out. And I was like,
Nice.
dang, okay. Only thing that I've run in this game that I wish was a little bit clearer, and I have finally run into something that is a bit more explicit about it, is, you know, in Death Stranding, the last thing you want to do is to kill a human in this game. And in both of these games, that's top of mind of like, I want to make sure that this weapon that I'm using is not going to kill a person, because the last thing I want to do is dispose of a body and do that whole race. I have finally found lethal weapons, because there are like 3 types of weapons. A lot of the brigands at the beginning of the game are using rubber bullet weapons. Those are very clear of like, these are non-lethal weapons. You can then craft at the beginning of the game what are called MP weapons. And the game does not define what MP is. It seems to stand for multi-purpose, but basically it's good against humans and it's good against BTs using the same weapon. Because if you remember in the first one, you had the guns that are like, load the blood bullets in them, those will shoot BTs. Load these bullets, these are non-lethal against enemies or humans, but they kind of don't do the same thing. They
Load up your urine grenades, that way you can take out BTs. But
right, and thankfully there are no urine grenades this time, but thankfully the blood grenades are way stronger in this game, which is good. But they kind of streamlined that whole system where each of your weapons is good against multiple types of enemies with the same weapon. And whether or not you're using bullets or grenades, they're going to do the same thing to multiple types of weapons. There will be some weapons that are like really good against BTs, like your blood grenades, but there's going to be a bunch of stuff of like, I just have a shotgun, and that's just going to knock out a bunch of like human enemies. And if you want to get that close to a BT to use a shotgun, I guess you can, but you shouldn't. You should just like sneak around them like usual. But it's really not clear at the beginning whether or not the MP bullets will kill a person. And I've really been trying not to do any Googling for this game, because there's been a lot of like I don't want to run into casual story spoilers, but I can verify MP bullets don't kill enemies, thankfully, and when a weapon is lethal, it will be very clear that this is a weapon that are lethal to humans, which I really appreciate. But I feel like it's kind of an unfortunate swing from the first game, where it's like the first game was very, very clear, these are lethal bullets, this is a lethal weapon, this is non-lethal. I wish this game was a little bit clearer about that, but I think I sort of have it at this point.
Yeah, it's like, because even in MGS5, it's like you knew if your weapon was lethal or not.
Exactly.
Lethal or not, if it was red or blue. Red being lethal, blue being tranquilizer.
Right. And like, there's a similar system in this game, but it doesn't really make sense until you see lethal weapons. And when you're looking at a weapon, it'll have like, it has a whole, like, a third of your page has a big loadout, and it will be like, how effective is this weapon against multiple enemy types, and it has kind of like one of those like star graphs. And it also say like, how lightweight is it, and how ammo efficient is it? Can you switch between full auto and burst or single fire, or all of that stuff? There's a really small strip above that in blue that has a BT symbol, which is a ghost, like a cartoon ghost. a human symbol and then some other symbols. And if those symbols are blue, they're non-lethal. And if they're orange, they are lethal. But I didn't know that until I picked up a lethal weapon. And I was like, oh, this is lethal to humans because it has the human background is orange, which is kind of confusing because all of the guns in this game, the actual color of the gun is orange, which in the first game was this will kill dudes instead of the blue weapons which will not kill dudes. So it's the rare case of like a Kojima game not being 200% explicit about something. It's just sort of like, I don't know, it's a weapon. You figure it out. It's got bullets and grenades, whatever. So that's been a little bit weird. But like, I now kind of get the system now that I've just gotten deeper into it. So I am really enjoying it. I think for better or for worse, it's more Death Stranding. And I'm very happy we have a second one of these. I think from a story perspective, it's really interesting to see where they're taking it, especially because I think at the end of the first one, it seemed like it was done. But I think they're treating that in an interesting way. I'm just not entirely sure at this point that I am into the story, but I was thinking this morning about how many Kojima things I have felt like halfway through. You know, like MGS3, we're like, oh my god, I'm fighting another. This dude's like an astronaut that's setting the place on fire. What am I doing? Like, what is this game? What the heck? And then by the end of it, I'm like, no, please don't make me do it. So like, I'm sure I will get there.
MGS3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you kind of hit the like middle of the story doldrums where it's like, here's another character and here's a new character and what's this person doing and here's a weird side story we're doing and here's an entire system I've run into that I'm now completely obsessed with compared to the other ones. So I'm sure it'll sort of start to pick up here and sort of click with me, but I'm sort of in that part here. But yeah, it's really great. I wish I could talk more about it. I'll be able to talk more about it as kind of the weeks go on, and as I dive deeper into it, and I think I would feel less bad about talking about story specifics, but so much of it, including the deeper I get into it, is basically like, hey, remember this from Death Stranding 1? Cool, let's keep moving. Like, we are not recapping any of this. We are not... There's not a cutscene from the first game where it's like, hey Sam, remember when this happened? Nope, we're moving. Like, we got stuff to do. So, which is great, but like, it's sort of interesting. Anyways, before I keep rambling about Death Stranding 2, that's all I'm playing this week. Let's take a break.
Yep.
Torek asks, no Norman Reedus's ride motorcycle? I have not seen that yet. But he has said the same line. You know, like Sam mumbles to himself
I'll be right back.
while you're walking around. He has said the same thing that he said. They carried over a bunch of lines from the first game where it's like, 2 wheels up, let's go. It's like, okay, Norman Reedus. Okay. Let me text my wife here real quick. And emoji. There we go. Okay. Yeah, Shinobi, I do really like the random... It makes me like Sam as a character more of like, if I was going to be climbing over this mountain with like 150 kilograms of people's junk on my back, I would probably be talking to myself a whole lot too. Especially in the first game, because you didn't have like a music player.
Podcasts in the game, which there should be.
Yeah, exactly. I still haven't run into any podcasts. Bunch more music tracks though. I'm really hoping to hit the story hard this week. 'Cause I don't want to spoil anything, but I ran into like a kind of bunch of like back-to-back like, here's a cutscene, here's some stuff to play, here's another cutscene, and kind of back and forth. Very similar to how Death Stranding 1 did. And some of them I'm like, oh, my kid is sitting right next to me. Okay, this scene's getting a little gross. I gotta go grab my portal real quick and finish this scene on my portal before I can put it on the big TV.
Yep.
Boy. Good times. Good stuff. Let me make sure there's no last minute news stories here. I don't think there's anything here. Okay.
Woo.
All right. Are you guys ready for this next segment?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of July 7th, 2025. EA Sports College Football 26 comes out on PS5 and Series Console. I did a bunch of looking into this. Of course, we're not the sports podcast, so like, please don't depend on us for any of this stuff. But a lot of what I was looking at seems like it's pretty similar to last year. It's just got more of the stuff you played in last year. So like tons more plays and tons more coaches and deeper dynasty mode and stuff like that. So if you're interested in this stuff, you're going to be buying this anyway. So like, you don't need me to sell you on this. You probably know more than I know anyway. So it's coming out this week. Islanders New Shores comes out on PS5, Series Console, Switch, PC, and Mac OS. Sequel to the game Islanders that we played on Game Club, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or something like this.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a very kind of chill, relaxing city builder where you have a small island and you're kind of trying to figure out how to manage and maximize all the buildings and the upgrades you're putting on these islands. Very relaxing, very chill. We surprisingly liked that first one quite a bit. It was a little bit deeper than I think we were expecting. And I'm pleasantly surprised they're coming out with a second one. I guess the first one did well enough for them to do that. So this looks pretty cool. I think that's a neat looking thing. Patapon 1+2 Replay comes out on PS5, Switch, and PC. They're just doing a remaster of the first two Patapon games, the Patapon games. And as far as I can tell, they are just putting both of those games in a collection and making them playable elsewhere than the PSP. So, if you've ever been curious about those games, that seems like a pretty great package here. I never played too much of those games, even though I really liked that first one, but never got too deep into it for whatever reason.
I think I played like 2 levels of the first one, and that's it.
Yeah, they're very cool games. For some reason, I never really got into them, but they're cool. I like them. So that's coming out this week. Another collection here, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Consoles, Switch, Switch 2, and PC. They've been putting out a ton of trailers and announcements and stuff over the last couple of weeks of like, this level's back, Bam Margera's back, the Officer Dick is back, like all of these kind of things and characters and secrets and levels that people are kind of hoping for and expecting are back. It seems like the only thing that I've seen that hasn't returned is like 1 or 2 music tracks, and that seems to be it at this point. So
yeah, they don't have a story mode.
That's right.
I think it started with 3, and then 4 there was like a story mode that you would play through, like guided missions essentially.
Yeah.
Whereas I believe for this one, they've just gone and made all of the levels from Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 like the levels from Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, where it's just like, here's a bunch of missions, go do them.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I think you're right. I forgot that they're not putting the story in here, but I think they have some progression in doing that, but they're basically like, look, man, we needed to make this game, so like, that's how we could make this game. It's like, yeah, you know what? That's fair. I get what you're going for. It probably wouldn't have been able to be released otherwise. So good on them. So that's coming up this week. Okay, let's get into news stories this week. I don't even.
Do we have to? Can we not just call it a show here? Because capitalism is bad.
Yeah, the maximalist part of capitalism. I wouldn't be talking about the layoffs here in Microsoft if it wasn't such a bloodbath here, and like half of it is stuff that has been officially confirmed, half of it is layoffs. Unfortunately, Microsoft as a whole this past week laid off around 9,100 employees from their workforce. That does seem to have heavily impacted the Xbox division, unfortunately, except for the heads of the division.
The ones that are ruining the division.
Yeah, the ones that are making the decisions.
Yeah.
I would read any of these boilerplate announcements that Xbox or Phil Spencer has made. They're all ghoulish, and they are all the most corporate speak. The most disappointing part of it that you have probably already seen has been Phil Spencer's stuff in the internal memo to the Xbox team, basically saying, like, it's never been better, baby. Anyways, here's the people that have lost their job.
Did we need to bust out the layoff bingo card of,
Right.
We had to make some incredibly difficult decisions, and
well, and like the thing that I've been really disappointed with people online is people saying like, well, of course that statement is for the shareholders. It's like, yeah, no kidding. Also, a statement of the shareholders doesn't pay the rent. Like,
yeah.
I don't care what's for the shareholders. Like, that sucks. Like, don't excuse the poor decisions. Let's remember, over the last decade, Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty have spent $80 billion taking the Xbox division from last place to last place, and have continually fired dozens and dozens and hundreds of people. In service of what? Not putting out games? Putting out a failing platform? Like,
the really funny thing for me on this side of things as well is it's not just Xbox's failures, and they have made failures.
Yeah.
They are also eating up Microsoft's failures.
Right.
Specifically, Microsoft are doing what every other tech company seems to be doing and spending big in AI, which is not profitable.
Right. Well, and it's also like the 1-2 punch of Game Pass not being profitable and AI being not profitable. But like both of those are just money sinks for nothing. Like I just AI is delivering nothing of value from nobody to nobody. And then like the Xbox division is not putting out games. Thankfully this year has been a little bit better than past years, but like there's just not a lot coming out, and for like not a lot of people to pay for, which is kind of a bad 1-2 punch. And
also, in case that wasn't bad enough, people aren't buying video games anymore to the degree that they were because everything is so expensive in our daily lives.
Exactly. So it looks like the first studio that got hit was King, the Candy Crush studio, which remember was a part of Activision Blizzard King. They laid off 200 employees. Then it looks like the Perfect Dark reboot has been canceled. That seems to have been confirmed. The unconfirmed part is it looks like the Initiative was the studio that was making that. That seems to have been closed completely. They were working on the Perfect Dark. That has not been confirmed. Everwild, Rare's new game that they've been working on for quite a while, that appears to have been canceled. And and based on online stuff, a head from Rare left after about 35 years. So a bad kind of combo there. The ZeniMax Studios was making an MMO called Blackbird that seemed to have gotten a ton of really good internal buzz. That got canceled. There are cuts underway at the State of Decay 3 studio Undead Labs. Blizzard got hit with a bunch of layoffs. Warcraft Rumble, that mobile game, will receive no further updates. So they're basically sunsetting that game already. Unfortunately, there was a rumor coming out this week that Phil Spencer would retire. Xbox Division said, quote, "Phil is not retiring anytime soon," end quote. Thought we would get away with that one. Again, those three people I mentioned earlier need to be removed from the Xbox Division. The rumors that are sort of flying around, because there's a ton of rumors that are going around on right now, that at Turn 10, the Forza Motorsport team has been gutted, seemingly completely, and moved over to Forza Horizon development and support, which we're going to talk about missed opportunities in our next news story, but man, not getting Forza Motorsport to where it should be and kind of like being a competitor to Gran Turismo is still such a missed opportunity, in such a real bummer of a way. Romero Studios appears to be shuttered as well. Brenda Romero put out a press release the other day saying that John Romero's upcoming FPS has been canceled because their funding dropped out completely, based on some stuff online from people that used to work at Romero Studios. Seems like that whole company has been closed. And then we talked about the initiative being closed as well. I don't know how to say this other than it sucks. The three people at the top of this division that are making the choices that are keeping the Xbox as a platform,
and let's not also like wave away the fact that the Microsoft CEO got a 62% pay raise.
Yeah, that's like, that's
for mismanaging a company to the point that you had to lay off 9,000 people, and
right.
you got a
but a lot of
GD
people are
pay
using
raise.
Teams, so. But like, it continues to be disgusting that the people at the top that are making these decisions to keep the Xbox division in last place are the ones that are continuing to get bonuses and stock options and to keep their house and their multiple cars, as opposed to the people that are actually making games and trying to make creative stuff that they are getting kicked out on the street. It will continue to be disgusting. And it will continue to be, like, we can sit here and say it's the worst part of capitalism, and it really is, but like, it continues to be the worst part of the video game industry. Of there's no revenue sharing for any of the employees that are making any of these hit games. All that you get for the entirety of the history of the video game industry, you can ship the world's best game, and the thing you get is a pink slip. And that continues to be disgusting. It continues to be unacceptable. And I wish there was something that we as individual players could do. And I don't know what to do.
Vive la revolution.
Yeah, and like,
we
didn't talk about the news story last week because we sort of ran out of time. But Riot has said that they're going to allow game gambling companies to advertise with esports teams. I want to let everyone know, well, I'm not being dramatic with this, that's the death knell of the industry. You want to look at what professional sports look like right now, they're largely dead because of this very same thing. And if you want to see the death of the video game industry, That's the first strike against it, unfortunately. And it doesn't get better when, Microsoft has more people on Game Pass than ever, and more consoles sold than ever, and more games that are coming out to critical and financial success, and then they lay off hundreds and thousands of people. Like, I don't know how to square that, and it sucks. And I don't want us to turn into the podcast that talks about every single layoff, because that's just literally every week. But for something to be this big and this gross, I feel like we need to talk about it, unfortunately. But we were talking about missed opportunities here. Let's talk about our final news story this week. EA is going to shut down Anthem in January 2026, a game that I genuinely forgot was still running.
Hey, guess what? So did EA. Why do you think they're shutting it down now?
That's right. And one of the IT guys is like, "Hey man, what's this like server cluster we got over here? Like, is that?
Yeah.
It's called Anthem. Like, is that anything?" It's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. So it's gonna January 12th, 2026. Servers are gonna be turned off. At the moment, you can no longer purchase any in-game premium currency, but you can still use the currency you have. It will be removed from EA Play on August 15th, 2025, and then will be completely offline on January 12th, 2026. Another super missed opportunity for game that could have been something, especially where there was that opportunity for Anthem 2.0. Was it 2 years ago, maybe?
A while ago.
At this point.
Yeah.
That was like the start of the pandemic, Anthem 2.0.
Yeah, like BioWare was like, "Hey, I think if we can put a little bit of elbow grease in this game, I think we can really turn it around. I think we can turn it into something special." And it was like, no thanks. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. If you've ever been interested in Anthem and you got like 15 or 20 hours, you can probably find this thing for pretty cheap. So you could blow through it pretty quickly. It's just such a bummer, especially, now that Nimp and I are diving back into Division 2 of like, dang, okay, like, yeah, you invest in your live service game over a long period of time. You can have something that does attract this kind of ebb and flow of players, which is healthy for a live service games ecosystem. But you do have to kind of invest, as a publisher, you have to allow your teams to invest time and money into it.
Yeah. Because I was just sitting here thinking before you even said that, it's like, man, this could have been another game that we were talking about, where it's like,
Right.
You know what? It's got its flaws, but it's still fun to
Yeah, I went
fly
back to
around
season
and blow
10
stuff
of
up.
Anthem. They did some cool stuff. Yeah, like it's just a real bummer. I will suggest here, though, that anybody who is living in the EU and would like to sign the petition for Stop Killing Games, this is the petition that's going around for exactly this thing. I think it was really spurred on. We talked about it a while ago. Really spurred on about the shutdown of the Crew, the very first Crew game, where it's like, wait, why are you shutting down like a game, a racing game that can be played offline? Like, what are you talking about? You're delisting this game. So the Stop Killing Games initiative, it wants to get this approved, and I think signed into law in the EU, saying if you're going to make a game after, there's a lot of misinformation out here, after that goes into law or whatever, if you make a live service or an online game after that point, your game,
you need a sunsetting plan that needs to be accessible offline.
Exactly. So you need to either allow people to run private servers, or you need to have some sort of like single player mode. Think a lot like what Redfall did, where Redfall said like, okay, you can now just kind of like play it offline, and you can do that stuff. So that's really the initiative. You can only sign it if you're in the EU. So if you feel passionately about that, please go sign that. But that would help something like this, of like, just make the currency free and just like allow us to play it single player, because it's a fine 20-hour game that you could play by yourself. So like, it's just a bit of a bummer. Anyways, that's our two bummer news stories this week. It's not always going to be great news stories like Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox platforms August 26th. That is a positive news story. But
everyone's super excited.
Yeah, they can't all be positives like that. Anyways, if you'd like to visit us, you do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Quick plug here for our Patreon page, e1m1.cash.
The ones and numbers.
The recommended tier is a $5 tier. That gets you everything there. Anything above and beyond that is for your rich friends. Please go tell them about our page. I don't remember anything else. We're playing a new game for a game club. You should come play to a T with us. We started a brand new game on. We really like it. Got all that great stuff. All of our shows just continuing to kind of chug along happily. I think they're all really great. I would encourage you to listen to all of them. I think we put out really great stuff each and every week. And I hope you think so as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
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 All right, Nimp, what are your titles?
I am the voice of the deity. Sweaty Balmer. From my lips to the cat's head. Go straight to Despot. Double rogue like it. And middle of a Kojima story.
All right, Moon, what do you have?
AKA Capricorn, sounding unhinged, snackable style, 62, double rogue like it, where life is worth living, it's tops, and do they have heat sinks?
Right, double rogue like it. I have Go Straight to Despot. Do they have heat sinks? 100% capitalism, aka Capricorn, and double rogue like it. I'm gravitating towards Go Straight to Despot or do they have heat sinks? I kind of like heat sinks maybe a little bit more, but I'm not married to it.
Have we done it before? Do the search.
I don't think so.
TVGP Mass Effect
heat
2
sinks.
had heat sinks.
GPU heat sinks. A chipset on the power supply of the TV was overheating. It does not appear that we have done that. That's surprising.
That's the one.
All right. I'm circling it. Shrimp, get out of there.
I'm ready.
Eating cardboard.
I'm ready.
All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 924 for July 7th, 2025. Do they have heat sinks?
Ejecto hisso, cuz.
Should they eject or should they just pop out?
Oh, God. All right. Thank you very much for listening and watching. We greatly appreciate it.
What's a true heat sink?
That's right.